In the quiet morning of May 1718, the people of Charlestown looked out at their harbor. They saw something impossible. A fleet of 4 pirate ships had appeared overnight. They were blocking the way in or out. Leading them was a huge warship, bristling with 40 cannons. It was a floating fortress. The city was trapped. No ships could deliver food. No ships could escape. A silent, terrifying siege had begun. The commander of this fleet was a name that made even brave sailors tremble. It was Blackbeard. He was more than a pirate captain. He was a master of fear. To make himself look like a demon, he braided slow-burning hemp fuses into his huge black beard. In battle, his head was wreathed in smoke. This wasn't just for show. It was a clever trick to scare his enemies into surrendering without a fight, and the prize he was threatening was huge. Charlestown was not some small village. It was one of the richest cities in the American colonies, the capital of South Carolina. Ships from all over the world came here, trading valuable rice and indigo. It was a jewel for the British crown. By trapping this city, Blackbeard was challenging an entire empire. His main weapon was his flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge. This mighty ship was once a French vessel used for the slave trade. Blackbeard captured it and turned it into a war machine. With 40 cannons, it was one of the most powerful pirate ships ever. And he didn't come alone. He commanded a small squadron of 3 other ships. This pirate admiral had his own navy. For days, the blockade held. Blackbeard's crew was busy. They captured every single ship that tried to enter or leave the harbor, at least 8 of them in the first 2 days. But here is where the story gets strange. The pirates didn't seem to care much about the money or goods on these ships. They were taking something else: people. They gathered all the passengers and crew from the captured boats. They were specifically looking for important, wealthy citizens. This wasn't a simple robbery. It was a kidnapping on a giant scale. Among the captured ships was one named the Crowley. This was not a lucky catch. It was the key. On board was a very important man named Samuel Wragg, a member of the Governor's Council, the group that helped run the whole city. He was traveling with his young son. Blackbeard now had more than just ships. He had a direct connection to the city's leaders. The terror of this capture was personal. It sent a clear message to the people in charge. There was nowhere to hide, and no one was safe. He held the city's future in his hands. Back on the shore, panic began to spread through Charlestown. The bustling port fell silent. No ships dared to leave, and no ships dared to enter. All business, all trade, simply stopped. The city was cut off from the world, a lonely island surrounded by its own fear. The city's leaders looked at their defenses and felt helpless. Their cannons were old. Their walls were weak. And worst of all, there was no friendly warship anywhere nearby to come and save them. They were completely on their own, trapped by a single, brilliant pirate. Finally, Blackbeard sent a small boat to the shore with his demand. The city's leaders gathered, expecting the worst. They thought he would ask for a mountain of gold, something impossible to pay. Or maybe he would demand a full pardon for all his crimes. But the demand was something no one could have ever guessed. It was not for treasure. It was not for power. Blackbeard sent a list. He wanted one thing: a single, large chest filled with medicine. This was the strange ransom. He needed treatments for sicknesses that spread among his crew. The request was so specific, so practical, it was shocking. The fate of a whole city did not depend on gold, but on bottles of pills and jars of ointment. The city agreed. They had no choice. They scrambled to find every item on Blackbeard's list. But then, a new problem started. The few pirates Blackbeard sent to collect the medicine chest disappeared. They got lost in the city's taverns, drinking and celebrating. Days passed with no word. The deal was off. Aboard his ship, Blackbeard grew angry. He was known for his terrible temper. He threatened to sail into the harbor and destroy everything. He promised that every prisoner would be defeated. The entire plan was about to collapse. And here is where you see the true genius of Blackbeard. He did not ask for gold because he knew a demand for treasure might make the city fight back, even if it was a hopeless battle. People will fight for their fortunes. He asked for something they had, but that was just difficult enough to get. Medicine was valuable to his sick crew, but not so valuable to the city that they would risk total destruction for it. It was a problem they could solve. This wasn't the act of a simple brute, it was a clever mind game. Blackbeard understood people. He knew exactly what to ask for to get what he wanted without a real fight. He held the city not just with cannons, but with a deep understanding of fear and relief. Finally, the search party found the pirates. They were not in a fierce battle. They were not guarding the prisoners. They had simply wandered off and gotten lost in the town. Once found, the medicine chest was quickly handed over to Blackbeard's men. The city had met the pirates' strange demand. Blackbeard surprisingly kept his word. He released the important prisoners, including Samuel Wragg and his son. The city of Charlestown was free. But Blackbeard couldn't resist one last act of defiance. Before letting the hostages go, he and his crew took all of their expensive clothes and valuables, leaving them with almost nothing. Think about what this story really tells us. It breaks the old idea of a simple, growling pirate. Blackbeard wasn't just a strong fighter, he was a brilliant thinker. He used fear like a weapon and understood people's biggest weakness. He was a master of mind games. This one event shows that the real pirates of history were more complex than we imagine. They were not just characters in a storybook. They were real people who used their brains to become powerful. They were clever, daring, and sometimes they could outsmart an entire government. And here is the great twist in Blackbeard's story. This incredible victory, holding a whole city hostage, made him the most famous pirate in the world. His legend grew bigger than any treasure. Everyone knew his name. Everyone feared his flag. But being that famous comes with a price. He had embarrassed one of the most powerful empires on earth. The British Empire could not let this act go unpunished. Blackbeard's greatest moment of genius also painted a giant target on his back. His downfall was now just a matter of time. After his great victory, Blackbeard felt like he could do anything. He sailed to North Carolina and made a deal with the governor. He promised to stop being a pirate in exchange for a full pardon, a promise to be forgiven for his crimes. For a moment, it looked like he was giving up his adventurous life. It was a strange sight. The world's most feared pirate tried to live a normal life. He even got married and settled down. But a quiet town was no place for a man like Blackbeard. The thrill of the high seas and the dream of more treasure was a powerful call he could not ignore. His downfall started because he was too famous and too feared. The governor of Virginia, a man named Alexander Spotswood, did not trust Blackbeard's promise. He believed the pirate was a danger that had to be stopped for good, so he secretly sent 2 Navy ships to hunt him down. The final battle happened in a tricky spot called Ocracoke Inlet. Blackbeard knew these shallow waters perfectly. He felt safe there, like a king in his own castle. He was having a party with his crew, with no idea that Lieutenant Robert Maynard's ships were silently closing in. Maynard was a clever commander. He had his men hide below deck. This made his ships look like they had very few soldiers. It was a perfect trap, designed to fool a pirate who had grown too confident. The Navy ships looked like easy targets. Blackbeard saw the ships and thought it would be an easy fight. He roared and led his pirates to board Maynard's vessel. He expected a quick victory, but as soon as his crew jumped onto the enemy deck, the hidden soldiers rushed out. The trap was sprung. The fight on the ship's deck was wild and desperate. Blackbeard himself was a giant in the battle, fighting with incredible power. He faced Lieutenant Maynard in a one-on-one duel. Legends say he fought on even after being wounded again and again. But even the strongest pirate could not fight an entire crew alone. The surprise attack was too much. Blackbeard was surrounded. It took many wounds from swords and guns to finally bring the mighty pirate captain down. His reign of terror was over. Imagine the message this sent across the seas. The pirate who had held an entire city hostage was gone. His defeat proved that no one was above the law forever. It was a sign that the great age of pirates was slowly coming to an end. To make sure everyone knew, Maynard displayed Blackbeard's head on the front of his ship. It was a grim and powerful warning. Yet this was not the true end of Blackbeard. His story became a legend, a thrilling tale of power, daring, and a dramatic fall that we still tell today.